Oh, hi there, this is Kane Hooper. This is the third video I've put together on the subject of university study. The first video was on planning your study, the second one was on the study itself, and this third video is going to look at how I go about preparing and going about doing my assignment work. So assignments can be a lot tough and can be a lot of hard work. There's no doubt about that. One of the key things about your assignment is you've got to start from week 1. Usually assignments are due between around about week 5 to week 7, give or take. It's not a lot of time. So what I do from week 1 is I look at the particular assignment. So if I take assignment I've got this trimester, which is, here we go, in economics. We'll get that in content. Now, while I'm not going to understand assessments, I'm not going to understand everything that the assignment's asking for because I haven't studied half of it yet. But that said, it's quite important to at least review the assignment and get a general overview of what it's after. So here's the assignment itself, and really briefly it says that the assignment overview. So this assignment is partly based on the attached article published in the Australian. So there's a couple of articles, so I've got to read those, and then further down there's a number of here. I've got 5 questions that I have to answer in relation to those particular articles. So before even week 1 I read this. In terms of the questions, I have no idea how to answer them at this point. However, by understanding what the assignment is looking at, as I study through the next 5-6 weeks, I'm able to align the information that I study in each topic to the assignment. So, for example, in topic 1 of economics, I've started to study certain aspects which align to the assignment. So I can go, all right, I see how that applies to that, and that bit applies to that. I have done it where I didn't even look at the assignment till about week 4, and that was very painful. I get higher results the earlier I start working on the assignment. So in the first week to 2 weeks, I read the assignment a couple of times each week and sort of think about it in terms of what I've studied so far. By about week 3 or 4, I'd start to get a good understanding of what is required to answer the assignment or write the assignment. And also I'll usually ask the lecturer on the discussion board which topics apply to the assignment. So it might be weeks 1 to 6. In this case for economics it's weeks 3 and 4, I believe, that apply to this particular assignment, though the earlier topics are still important because they indirectly align to the assignment itself. But that's important to know so that as I'm studying I know what applies to this particular assignment. Once I get to the point of writing the assignment, the first thing I'd always do is I plan the assignment out. Some people just start writing, and that's dangerous because you just don't know where you're going to go. Now for me, I break it up. Now this was assignment for organisational behaviour. I think I got 92% on this particular assignment. It was the top mark for the assignments. And in this case it was in sections. So I had section 1, and then that was broken down into a number of questions, and then section 2 and so on. So let's just take one part of it. One part of this section asked me, using quotes and examples of his or her behaviour to illustrate and substantiate your points, and using course theory to structure your answer, describe your character's motivation. So we had to watch a film, take one of the characters, and using the theory of organisational behaviour, describe the person's motivation. So in my planning, I basically break down how I'm going to answer this. So the first thing I do is define motivation. The second thing I do is, in motivation, there's 2 types of motivation, so I'm going to talk about that. I chose a motivational theory to address, and so on and so on. So I break down the key points of how I'm going to answer that particular question. One point in an assignment is it's so much better to focus on 1 or 2 key points rather than try and describe all the different theories. So I usually take one theory and 1 or 2 key points of the theory, and I focus hard on those particular points. And that allows me to describe and to analyze and to make predictions and to really get into the into the guts of that particular subject, rather than just give a surface description of many, many different points. And I found that in every unit that I've done, speaking to the lecturers and unit chairs, is that focusing on a few key points will get you much better marks. Now, once I've sort of worked out roughly how I'm going to answer the question, that's when I start my research. So what I've got here is I've made hyperlinks. So I'll click that. And this is my research. So the first thing was, my first point was defining motivation. So what I do is first I start with the textbook, and I get the how they describe motivation and So what I do is, in this column I've got the reference itself. This is in the Harvard reference style, and then I take it word for word out of the textbook. So that's all there, and I reference the page number as well. Usually when I'm doing this, I'll go to about 5 or 6 textbooks in the library. So I've got another textbook, and I've taken out all the information related to the definition of motivation. A third textbook, and I take out the definitions of motivation. Fourth textbook. This one's an academic journal, so I'll also do a search in the academic journals, definition of motivation. This is a textbook as well. So I've got here about 6 or 7 definitions of motivation. Now I do that for each of the points, which if I go back, where is it? For motivation. So, there's 2 types of motivation. I've lost the hyperlink here, but further down I've then gone in and I've done academic journal searches, I've gone to textbooks, I take out all the info I can find on the 2 types of motivation, and I reference their page numbers. So I do this for each of the points. Now once I've completed that, I've completed the research for all my points for the whole assignment, then I come back and I re-plan out how I'm going to address the assignment. Number one, now that I've done my research, I have a better understanding of how it all works. And then I can take each of the key points of the research and I can build arguments around it. And once I've created that draft, then I actually start writing. So that's the key way that I go about doing my assignments. I usually have about 40 to 50 references in each of my assignments. That's not hard to do. If you really get into research, it's quite easy. That's definitely not necessary. Most assignments ask for 15 references. But doing it this way, you can basically form a good argument around actual research and academic papers. And the last thing I do is, once I've written my assignment, I always give it to a couple of people to read for spelling and grammar. And if you're an international student, it would be very worthwhile finding a native Australian or English person who can read it for you and just check your grammar and your spelling. Because I've seen a number of international students and they obviously haven't had it checked, and the grammar and the spelling is quite bad. And that'll take away a lot of marks for you. So that's how I go about assignment writing, and I hope that's of use for you.